Alright, here we are. Ganons Tower, the final dungeon of the game. Now, one thing's for sure, if anybody ever plays this game, is to remember that this dungeon is filled with false rooms. And what I mean by that is that if I take this key and go to the left, I kind of would mess myself up a little bit. Not really though, but not as bad as I can recover from it, but it's still pretty bad. Now the one thing that this dungeon also does Now the one thing that this dungeon also does is to test your skills with all the items you manage to get from each and every dungeon. And I say the dungeons rather than all the items together because I can pretty much do this. I pretty much have done this dungeon without using all the items. And they pitch you up with all the skills that you've learned throughout the game, with all the nooks and crannies that you may think of going through. And if you actually know what, basically what I'm trying to say is that if you actually do know what you're doing, this dungeon isn't that hard at all. You just really need to know where you need to go. And this dungeon probably would look really huge if you try to go through it and to open all the doors. But in reality, you really have nothing to worry about. This dungeon is filled with false rooms, but they're not in the way to the point that you'll easily get lost. However, if you follow me, you'll know exactly where you're going and you'll have nothing to worry about whatsoever. And that is my absolute guarantee. I don't know if I can say I can shave this dungeon down from whatever minutes to whatever minutes, but we'll see what my recorder says when I'm done. I may have to shed this into a two-parter. Depends on how far I get and how dumb I look. Of course, like I showed you there's invisible blocks. And there's two ways to actually reveal invisible blocks. There's the quick way, which is using the medallion, or there's the smart way, and there's a torch in the area. You can just pretty much use the torch and that'll permanently lit up the floor. Now of course there are certain areas that has this one's gonna be a pain. There are certain areas that has invisible floors, but there is no way of figuring it out with a torch. You pretty much have to stuck using the medallion. Another thing that this dungeon also does is return the three bosses from Light World, not Dark World. So they pretty much pin you up on what I would like to say a mini boss rush, but it's not against all the bosses. It's just pretty much against the three that we were first introduced on the three dungeons. Now, one thing that this place also does is pretty much make you have to do a little change to the change up the floor, the exterior a little bit. In which case, in the first boss, there's ice all over the floor. The other two areas are not that hard. I mean, there's no ice on the floor, thank God. But there is a little bit of a change to make it seem that would make it really of a pain in the butt. Anyway, now that we have the big key and the item for this dungeon, which is the red nail, that ultimately puts up our max defense. We're now ready to continue up the dungeon and head for the boss itself. Which unfortunately I'm gonna go off and say it's not Ganon, it's the wizard. Well, was gonna say spoilers, but you know what? There's not really such much of spoilers as you think it is. Now with the mirror shield in hand, now we can take care of these guys easily because they'll shoot us and they'll basically be... Come on, there we go. They'll be easy to deal with because they can't hit us with the shield. Darn it! There. However, you can take care of magic arrows like those, but when it comes to those guys, you're still gonna get damaged by them, and I'm not gonna show you. Just guarantee that you're gonna get hit by it. I may encounter a place in time where I'm actually gonna have to say, yeah, you're gonna have to see me get hit. Oh, crud. Yeah, and these guys are back. But they're like... not much of a pain anymore. Unless they come after me like that. I managed to trap all of them. Good for me. I just gotta deal with the annoying sound for a little bit. Ugh. And the bottom floor. Now I do said earlier that this place was filled with some false rooms, but they're pretty much basically places to get the other items like the compass and the map. But really, I think like if you, like I said before in the beginning, if you're not really caring about those items, then really you don't have anything to worry about. Then you can pretty much shave... Okay, going through there was a bad idea. You can pretty much shave a dungeon pretty easily if you don't care about the map and compass. The only item you really need to worry about is the boss key. Or the big key in many later Zelda games it becomes. Okay, this ice is getting annoying. After you get the boss key in this area, it's pretty much just a straightforward up to the boss now. Which also means you have to encounter all the other bosses too, which is the 3 bosses before. But with the upgraded gear from what you had before, they're pretty much easy to defeat. I think this one requires me... No, I think that was 3 hits. I don't really know. 3 or 4 hits, maybe more. There's one. They'll go down a lot more easily, and it just becomes, you know, yeah. And that's the funny thing about this area. Oh, he actually hit me, and I was staring right at him. And that's the funny thing about that boss. The only thing that's there is the bloody fire spitter. And that's all that there is. I pretty much know where I need to go, so... No. Okay, now I'm making myself seem like an idiot. Don't worry, I know exactly where I'm going. I promise you. See? And like I said before many times. Yes! All going according to plan. Noise of danger that you need to replenish your hearts. Find a fairy or get a potion. Whatever it is you need to do, just save yourself, darn it. Later! Okay, this is a little puzzle that requires a little bit more ahead of thinking because, of course, it's the lanterns again. It's the torches again. But if you know exactly what you're doing, of course, you'll be fine. There we go. I really didn't need to run, I just did that just because. And I did that just because that was kind of funny. That was kind of awesome. This one requires a little bit more timing because you gotta deal with that. So, though. thanks. Come on. Oh, come on. It's like one puzzle right after another. And I'm very serious at that. Let's take the hit and let's get out of here. I think this dungeon actually purposely makes you like go insane. I think that's the whole purpose of this dungeon. Is to make you go insane with puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. And you're like, ah! Darn it! Not to worry though. They throw us down here, but we can easily get back up there with no problems. Although I don't think there's any way of replenishing any health, so you're pretty much... This guy is very easy with the updated sword. Just watch. It'll take me 3 hits. 3 hits. And not a health replenishment. What a jerk. We're very close to the final boss, everyone. Well, the final boss of this dungeon. We're very close. And... haha! I'm not gonna make it. There we go. So, and here we are, the final boss. It's great that you could come all the way here, Link. I'm very happy to see you again, but you better believe that we will not have a 3rd meeting. Prepare to meet your doom, and I kind of screwed that up. Well, the only thing that's different about this boss is that now he has 3 of himself at me, and they will all shoot me with those bloody beams of light. So you gotta be careful how you deal with this, or else you die. Like I said, not to worry, we have fairies. Now, of course, like I said before, if he ever goes to the middle, he will try to shoot me with lightning, so... There we go. I don't think he does that as much as he did before. But it's fun to get him with 3 of his beams. The other 2 shadows will try to hit me with beams of light no matter what. But he will also try to do his other things. That would have been funny if I managed to get him by that means. So with 2 of his shadows and him, there we go. I was gonna say this was hard, but it was actually very easy. What the bloody hell was that? I like this scene. This is a really cool scene. Sweet. And now it's time to face the final boss, which we'll get to in another episode. Tune in next time on Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, where we go after the final boss, Ganon himself. Talk to y'all later.